Prime Minister Stephen Harper has called election. Today is Sunday, September the 7th, 2008, 8:15 a.m.
Prime Minister, the last couple of elections you've had to face accusations of having a hidden agenda. We've already heard that from, actually, I think all of your rivals at this point already. How do you fight those accusations differently this time around, or do you think this is something that's going to dog you over this campaign?
I think this will be a tremendous mistake on the part of the opposition. I think that's an easier attack to make on an opposition party. People don't know what it will do. We've been in office for 2.5 years. I don't, I obviously don't think that all Canadians agree with the government, but I think most Canadians are pretty clear what makes the government tick and what direction we're going to take the country. And I don't think that's a credible charge. Normally what a government would do would accuse the opposition of having a hidden agenda. And normally what the government would do, conservative government would do, is accuse the Liberal Party of having a hidden agenda of taxing and spending. The benefit I have in this election is I don't have to accuse it of being a hidden agenda. It's actually their agenda. That's, as I say, I think they're going to try every trick in the book to get people not to focus on the tax increase and not to focus on the carbon tax. But that is the choice people face, to continue the management the government has brought, which, as I said, is keeping taxes down, keeping the budget balanced, and modest and affordable spending commitments, or to go with big spending and tax increases. That's the choice.
Et nous avons le temps pour une dernière question, one last question. Daniel Lebrun, Radio-Canada.
Mr. Prime Minister, you say that this election could lead to, once again, another minority government. I'd like to hear you say if you wish to have a majority government, and if so, why it would be preferable for Canadians. Answer. I can say only that I have the intention to accept the result of the Canadian population. I think that we have demonstrated that it's possible to govern in a minority situation, even with a small minority. But I think with a second minority government, we will be in a stronger position for the next Parliament. And myself, I don't have the intention of any predictions. I'm not an analyst. I am the leader of the Conservative Party. My job is to encourage voters to vote for us. And in the end, voters cannot vote for a minority or a majority. They cannot vote 60% for the Conservatives and 14% for the Liberals. They have one vote, and they should vote for the party that they want to lead the government for the next mandate. Because in the end, this government, if it's a Conservative or Liberal, or maybe even a new NDP government, in the end, that party will have a platform and a mandate, and that party will govern. And I think that the population will choose the Prime Minister and the party that they believe is capable to truly lead this country in a period of world economic uncertainty. Thank you, everyone.
I won't say bye. See you for 5 weeks.
Well, there you are, the Prime Minister, yes, off and running now, off to the first event on his campaign. So as he boards the planes and then the buses, going right across the country during this next 5 weeks. Well, he laid out very clearly what the options are for Canadians. Tom Clark will be with the Prime Minister on the first week of the campaign. Tom, there you are, economic instability, that's the times we're in now. And he says it's a choice between clear direction or risky experiment. Obviously saying to Canadians, hey, settle down, make the choice, it should be us.
Yeah, and essentially what he's saying, you're absolutely right, Lloyd, he's saying don't take a chance, don't take a risk. we're heading into uncertain times. So that's going to be the theme of this campaign. There are a couple of other things that I thought were interesting here as well. In answer to a question, he opened up about being a dad in a way that I've never heard this Prime Minister talk that personally before. But keep in mind, remember those TV commercials that Canadians are seeing right now? It's showing Stephen Harper, the kinder, gentler Stephen Harper in a sweater guy. Well, obviously he's playing into that. Going after the idea that Canadians still don't know him, maybe still don't trust him all that much. And they're trying to overcome that. So we're seeing a guy now who's talking openly about what it's like to be sitting at home with his kids around the dining room table. That's pretty unusual. He talks about the Parliament being non-functional, says that he says, I'm expecting a minority result out of all of this. Well, I thought that was interesting because listening to Lisa LaFlamme talking before, the Liberals and the NDP are going after the idea you can't give this guy a majority. So is he saying I'm expecting a minority in order to sort of quell that issue, to take the majority option off the table so people won't get afraid that maybe they might score a majority? I mean, as you know all too well, and all of our colleagues listening in on this, when you listen to a news conference like this, you have to do the translation afterwards to figure out what was really at play here. So those are just a few interesting points I picked up.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. We're going to Sandra Buckler now, who is the former Conservative Communications Director, and Sandra is in our Ottawa Bureau. Sandra, first of all, let's just talk about what Tom alluded to there, that is the warmer, fuzzier look of the Prime Minister. Is this being done because there was a perception in the land that maybe he needed that, the people needed to get to know him better on a personal level?
Lloyd, I think it's always helpful to show the human side of any leader, and I think when Stephen Harper became Prime Minister, he had a big job ahead of him, and he got right down to the task. And he's a focused individual, very logical, but there is a fabulous side to him, which I'm really happy that Canadians are now starting to see a lot more of. He's a great father, wonderful husband. He has a wickedly funny sense of humor, and I'm looking forward to this campaign, allowing him, because now he's comfortable, he's experienced, tried, proven in the job, he can now, I think, relax a little bit and show that softer, kinder side of him, and I hope let rip a little humor and some jokes on the bus and on the plane.
Now, what about the statement he made, the stark reality set out there for Canadians? At a time of economic uncertainty, you have a choice between the kind of stability his government can provide and what he described as the risky experiment, obviously referring to Stéphane Dion's carbon tax plan. Is that what this election is going to be about from the Conservative perspective?
Well, Lloyd, this campaign is going to be about choice, and Canadians are going to have an opportunity to look at both people, Stephen Harper and Stéphane Dion. Stephen Harper offers proven, tried, tested leadership. Stéphane Dion is looking at introducing a carbon tax, which we all know is a tax on everything. And I think Canadians pay already now enough taxes, and I don't think they want to risk going into another election and putting in power a fellow who has a lot of unspended or uncosted promises, about $64 billion, I think, and that guy's looking for a lot of cash. And the only time you put in a tax is to raise money for government coffers. So the Conservative government under Stephen Harper wants to continue to lower taxes, wants to continue to deliver benefits for families, and wants to continue to stand up for Canadians on the world stage. So national leadership, I think, is a big issue, and I also think proven, tested, tried leadership, and not anything risky and kind of make it up as you go along. I don't think Canadians will be comfortable with that, and in times of global uncertainty, I don't think anybody's going to want to vote for that on October 14th.
Now, he did mention, in fact, spending priorities, but yesterday when I was talking to him, and we will be seeing that interview, it's an exclusive interview, the first for a Prime Minister at Harrington Lake. And when I was talking to him yesterday, I mentioned that you have thrown around a lot of money coming into this campaign. He said, but those are within our budget standards. Stéphane Dion is spending outside of those limits, as he understands it. That is, Stéphane Dion is going to put us back into deficit. So the Prime Minister is being very careful about how he's adding up those numbers, and he is an accountant after all.
Well, he's a good economist, and I really trust him with the bottom dollar. And of course, so I trust Jim Flaherty. But I guess the point I'd like to make, Lloyd, is that the announcements that the government has made over the past couple of months have all been approved from the budget. And, you know, the country is still putting forward a surplus.